Good afternoon. Welcome to Options Tender. It is Turnaround Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. We're taking a look at the top-down analysis with SPX and SPY. We'll go down to lower time frames, and then we'll go around the horn with ES, SPX, SPY, and all the other indices to show you what I think is possibly happening. So we're not quite in a low cycle for a major low. So I will explain on the lower time frames exactly what I think could happen in the meantime. So we're looking for some sort of low or some sort of bottoming process around the FOMC on the 19th. Okay. So stick around for the lower time frame so we can get a much better path on what's happening. All right. And if you are new here, go down to that bottom right hand corner, hit that Options Center logo and subscribe. And don't forget to like the video. Thank you so much for all the support and all the comments that have been happening on the page, whether good or bad. It is appreciated. And also, we're doing this intraday about 1:15 Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member. We have individual analysis as well. It's only 99 cents, and it comes with the Discord, trade alerts, and lots of great camaraderie in that Discord. I love it. So let's jump into it. Play this at 1.25 or 1.5 speed. Wow, MicroStrategies is really kicking some butt. Here we go. We have SPX 1929 top, 2000 top, 2025 top. That's in confluence with the 2008, 2021, and we're rejecting off of these trend lines up here in 2025. So I do think this is going to get some follow through. If you look deeper in this candle, we had the doji candle here, indecision, and I think we're going to get some follow through. But I do think we're getting a reaction here early in this month off the 8 EMA, which is typical because it's a trend indicator. You see it's held price for quite some time. So let's go over to SPY. And SPY, you can see this this boxed in area. That's where we're having our bounce right now. So I think we'll make it up. It's very possible to make it all the way back up to the top of the range, but I'm not looking for that. Not as of now. So if you look at mid range, we'll kind of keep that in mind as we go through the charts. Let's say 590. Let's say 590 to 595. Right in that range might be about the middle. So let's just keep that in mind right now. I don't plan my videos out. I'm just thinking ahead. It's a lot of times you'll get the bounce to mid-range before actually collapsing. Let's go to the weekly. On the weekly time frame, you have this bearish rising wedge breakdown from the 20 week moving average. This is a serious breakdown. Do we go back and test it? I think it's very possible. That's right where the moving averages are right now, is at that 595 area, just underneath. So it's possible to retest that. Can we continue to go straight to these targets down here on the weekly time frame? It looks absolutely ready. We do have these lows that we're testing at 575. Did break down from there a little bit, so we'll see if price action holds here. But I think on the lower time frames, we can see that things might be going for a bounce. Let's move over boards. Change the board. We're looking for something to happen in April to beginning of May here. So I think we're going to get a bounce here. Waste a little bit more time. Then we're going to get some sort of price action to the downside going into May. I'm going through this quickly. You can go through other videos in the past if you want more of an in-depth look at the weekly and the monthly time frame. Let's go to the daily. All right, bearish rising wedge broke down from that wedge after holding it a couple times, back tested, and now breaking down to the 200 moving average. Didn't quite tap it there. But really just holding on to this level with this consolidation here. So we can call that the 575 area, and we're getting a nice doji here. Is that it? Usually when we miss a moving average like that, that's considered a test, and next time we just go straight through it. So keep that in mind. But, perhaps we can have 2 reversal candles if price goes down a little bit lower. I think it might be done at this point, but you might get it like a tweezer bottom or something like that. So keep that also in mind. But for now, we are getting some sort of reversal hammer doji on there. So yeah. All right, so on this board, it didn't quite make it to the 382. If you're bullish, you're still looking for that scenario that we talked about so many times, where this is an A, expanded B, and you got your 5-wave move down here for C. Is that 5-wave move done? I do think so, but that's what we're looking for, even if it does have one more low to this 382 right here, and also the 200 moving average. I'm counting this as a 1-2 setup. I think this is going to be an impulse, and then we get a lower high. And so now yes, I did adjust these. So now we're looking at some timing going still at the end of the week. So there's 2 ways. All right, we're going to explain this now. Since we're looking for a bottom around FOMC, I think this wave 1 can be in, and then we can get a nice move, maybe to the 382 or so. And I'll put this on here so we can see where that is. So maybe up to this 588, 590 area. Maybe we get an A, and then that takes whatever time for this to carve out a wave A. And maybe into next week, we actually get a new low for an expanded B and then a C. So I still think this is one entire pattern, and 2 scenarios. An ABC quickly that retraces pretty deep, boom. And then after that, we can short it. Or shenanigans, since our low, and by the way, that situation where the 1-2 zigzag and it's a sharp move, and then we get some new lows into the FOMC on the 19th, that would make sense in any bearish scenario. That's what I'm trying to describe. Or we start getting some sort of flat pattern in here, whether it's it makes a new low or not, and it wastes time. And then we get our A, B, C in a larger degree and some sort of bear flag, and then we start heading lower. Okay, so those are my 2 scenarios that I'm looking at, and because we have a cycle coming in on the 19th, then we'll be looking for this to possibly waste some time and get a low there, or if it's a sharp move, we'll probably see much lower lows into that time frame. Okay, let's go to the 65. All right, pulling up to 65 minute, you can see that we have we're into that minor support. Have that right there. We're into that minor support with positive divergence. Nope, we made a little bit lower low here. I mean, that's a signal right there that price could still go lower. We have a slight divergence here. So we could see the next levels. It's possible, but I think we're if price does get down here, I think that's a real objective long there. Riding along this trend line if price gets down to this area. Okay, so right now, how are we kind of looking at this? Again, I think this is a possible 1-2, and then we get our wave 3, and then a running flat, A, B, C running flat into a wave 5. Okay, so all that was wave 4 into wave 5. So that's how I'm counting it right now. If there is more price action to go, then this was probably a 1, 2, 3. You got your wave 4 here for the back test of the trend line, and now we're doing some sort of ending diagonal, maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 headed down to those lower targets that we were talking about. So it's still possible that we go lower, maybe into the bounces, maybe make sure you take some profits and or sorry, I was looking at one of the trades there. So either take profits or protect your positions to the downside, because there's still downside risk here, even though we're at good support levels. And also, we have that FOMC timing low. So if this wave one is done, like I said, you can have a sharp move back to retracements. That'd be considered a back test as well. And then start wave three to the downside, which would be a pretty relentless move. Or if, like I said, if time wants to be wasted, maybe we get some sort of A, maybe even we get a B going into FOMC where it breaches the lows, but we don't have a huge bounce, get new lows, FOMC 5-wave move up to complete the retracement, and then lower. So clearly there's lots of things that can happen. And so we want to look at the setups. You know, we did some individual names, looked at Nvidia and Tesla already. They're just really setting up, and Tesla can go a little bit lower still to close the gap, but those are setting up nicely. And so we're long on those names for a bounce in Google. And so, you know, the risk reward on those are very good at this point. And so any risk to the downside with the market is probably going to offset with the relative strength of those individual names as well. So that's why they're such good plays. All right, let's see timing. So now this is no longer an expanded B down here. It's just too long of a move there. So again, this is possible wave 3. And then we finished wave 4 as a running flat over here. And wave 5 can be done at this 382. And possible wave 1 starting with wave 2 retracement into these zones. This needs to be adjusted. It won't be perfect, but it'll be right down to the lows here. And then we'll see some sort of retracement into these 50, 60. Even the 786 is still a range that it can get to. And that's moved down to the 604. So I still think a lot of these are likely, possibly that deep, because you get to rip your face off rally when things get oversold. And I believe if I pull up, I'm pulling up on my other screen, that we're already oversold on the weekly, which doesn't mean we can't go lower, but we have a positive divergence on the daily time frame with the RSI. We are getting a buy signal on the slow stoke. So again, if we move down any lower, we'll have another positive divergence. And yeah, so we have, looks like we're due for a bounce. So we'll see if we get that. Some sort of ABC. And then we'll update each day, you know, to see how this formation. Give yourself some time on, you know, I started off with weeklies on calls here, but we're going out to the 21st now, because I just want to give some of these trades some time to work out for these corrections. They're not always easy until you get to like that B or C wave, and then you can see strength happening. Then you can really get into the trade. But QQQ. So the Qs are holding on to a pivot from the 2000 top to the 21 top. That's a pivot right there that it's bouncing off of. Now we broke down from a trend line possible channel, but we only have 2 points in that. So again, I'm not too sure that that's the, maybe I'll play a role in this having another low here if this all was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and in this case, again, you can count it as a running flat. Or if the wave 4 was done here on that little bounce, you can have a 1, 2, 3, and then we're possibly getting wave 4 in for an ending diagonal, and we go lower just for another new low, divergent low. Yeah, so we'll be looking out for that, and if it does go lower at that point, you have your major low right here possible. All right, so this is stretching out, and if we make a new low, I'm gonna buy into it. This isn't gonna go straight down at this point. This isn't showing that this is like a 1, 2, running flat for a 2, and then wave 3 much lower. This is pretty much a straight line in a sense, but this does look like it needs to correct after it finds a bottom here. And you have a good zone also at 485, which is some former tops there. So maybe that's our next move. All right, just thinking here. Some H. Oh, by the way, I need to change the board. So this was another objective long here because we're in this perfect channel. We're in a perfect channel right now. We have the lows, and lows again. And so we could still make it down to that 485 and have a new low and still touch that channel. So we're in a downtrend. We'll let this play out and see where it goes from there. Again, holding that pivot. And all we did was get back to the options expected move here. So now that we're at the lows of the options expected move, this week, I don't expect that there, be a rocket all the way up to the opposite end. I do think it's very capable of getting back to the mid-range where the weeks had started. But I don't see it reaching the options expected move to the upside. Just to let you know, not this week. If we make some sort of A, carve out a bottom for B, and then get a C going to next week, that could be a much larger move here. I wonder if we can see like this. So let's say that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have that 5-wave move in there, that low. That could be us right now. And then you have a bounce for an A. Then you get a lower B, and then rip for a C. In this case, we're looking for a higher level, but that was clearly a corrective move. You have this is a wave B, and C there, ABC, and then made new highs. We're looking for impulse, and then a wave 2. I have to pull up my other screen again. 1 second here. And again, if price does fall back down and ride this channel here, you have this consolidation area. That's a zone there, a volume node. You have a gap at the beginning of this box here, so we might still reach it to this target box that we had labeled there, and then that would be a good resistance trade resistance, like a bow and arrow. All right, going to SMH. Now SMH we talked about in our tech analysis, and it looks a little different on Nvidia. This looks like an ABC or possible 1, 2, 1, 2 at this point. So this could be making another correction here that is, where this could maybe make a wave 4 into a wave 5, and then we start to retrace higher. Still trying to figure this one out, but it does look like a 5-wave move is complete down here. So this wave looks complete. I just don't know in the big picture if this is going to be a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. That's very bearish, and there'd be a big time downside from that. It seems a little too bearish right now, but again, we need to let things play out, and we'll obviously in hindsight you can see all these waves for Elliott. Right now it's looking bearish. We're in a downtrend, but I think we get a bounce here, and you can look at the indicators. They have positive divergence here, at least for a bounce, and the trend can continue to the downside. IWM. Again, looks overstretched. Maybe this is a 1, 2, 3. Starting to get the rest of wave 3. And it still looks like we don't really have a structure here complete yet. You know, this looks like a wave 3. We get a bounce for a 4 and then a 5. So that's where I'm talking about. Looking at SMH, I think we have another low coming up before a significant bounce. Looking at IWM, that's the same. I think we go a little bit lower. But looking at the Qs, it looks complete. So we're just looking for 2 scenarios for another low to be had. I think that will be around FOMC. But let's see if we get our bounce sooner, or if our bounce comes into like a gap down tomorrow or something like that. So we do have some catalysts. Looking at the calendar right now. All right, we do have some catalysts. We have ADP coming up in the morning, PMI, and factory orders, ISM. So we do have some things coming up. We have something happening with Trump tonight. Jobless claims Thursday, and then Jerome Powell speaks at noon 30 on Friday with the employment situation. So the employment situation is probably going to be a big spot there. So we'll see where price is at going into Friday. DIA broke down. We talked about that. Now it looks like one of the structures is complete. Now we can have a bounce and then go lower from there. But not a huge bounce. I'm not looking for anything massive here. When we do get a low, probably another low in here, IWM, we will look for a significant bounce in SPY. VIX made a higher high. Is looking pretty good structurally. But at some point, it's going to have a significant pullback. And that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. But there's still potential because we broke out from 23 and we're back testing. Not only are we back testing this wedge that broke out to the upside, we're back testing the horizontal level. So still could close this gap here that we have. Still could close the gap. And that would mean that we have one more low in SPY or the Qs. And so we might even get a higher low in the Qs and then a lower low in SPY. So any of those shenanigans can happen to show some divergence. Right now, can't deny this is bullish and just higher lows and starting to stretch out. So we'll continue to watch. We took off most of our puts today. We still have some lingering just in case. It's more like put protection now at this point, and we'll see how the market can go. We need more information to really talk about where the market's going to go. But I'm looking at those 2 main scenarios where the market breaks out higher right from here directly in some sort of zigzag sharp move for a 1-2 setup, and then we go much lower into FOMC, or price wants to waste time until FOMC comes. Maybe we have a high going into FOMC, or maybe we're at a low going into FOMC and we get a nice boost. So I don't have a theory on what it's going to do to the market. I want to see the market where it's at when it's coming into FOMC. All right. That's what I got for you. We're at least looking for an oversold bounce at this point, but this could end up being a rip your face off rally. So that's what I'm looking for. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.